Wait, stop scrolling. You say you want fun things to do with your family this holiday season? You say you want special mystery guests? You say you want to hear me sing Christmas carols for an hour or two? Well, how about two out of three?
Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to the Arts Fam
It's
Podcast.
the only show of its kind that spotlights the arts and entertainment scene in Southern Maryland.
We're your hosts, Lindsay Pomerank and James Lepore, and every week we will be bringing you a whole long list of all the fun things that you can do this week in Southern Maryland.
And we will have a special guest for every episode.
The guest this week is a mystery.
Yup, you gotta wait. Hang on. You will meet this mystery guest and you will be so happy you did. As a matter of fact, why don't you get your kids? Bring your kids down to the room. They're going to like it too. But in the meantime, let's talk about things you can do with the whole family this week. Lindsay?
First, in Brandywine, on Friday, December 22nd, we have at the Foxfire Farm a fun evening for the full family. We have a self-guided walking tour through the farm with sparkling holiday lights displays and fire pits with s'mores and hot cocoa and just horses that you get to feed and a candy bar and little shops and
No foxes?
no foxes.
Okay, well, you got the fire, but
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
It still sounds like an awesome thing to do. I've got something in Leonardtown. Thursday, December 21st, they are having an ugly sweater party trivia night hosted by SOMD Trivia. It's the name
Okay.
you hear all the time.
Love that.
With Invincible Entertainment. That's 41658 Fenwick Street, Leonardtown, which just happens to be the Social Coffee House.
Oh, I love the
And
Social
they're
Coffee
having
House.
As I said, ugly sweater trivia night. If you come early before, you can grab some food and drinks from their happy hour menu. That's
Ooh.
2 to 6.
Nice.
You can earn some prizes. You can enjoy some music, appetizers, drinks, coffee, and of course, trivia.
And I will say, I love trivia.
You and me both.
All right, next. At St. Clement's Island Museum, there is an annual Christmas doll and train exhibit.
Oh, antiques. I love antiques. Very cool.
You and my husband both.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can guys go and have a man date together.
Yeah, leave the charge cards at home, though, because otherwise they'll be like, look, I got G.I. Joe and Action Jackson.
That's running all month, all the way until January, and it sounds like a great time.
It does. And you know what? I like the timing of it, too, because you know how,
Mhm.
like, the day after Christmas, you're like, oh, it's all
What do
over.
I do?
But this is something that you can then, go right into this and
Exactly.
have some antique dolls and trains and
Exactly.
stuff. St. Charles Town Center, that's right here near
Yes,
the
down the
podcast
street.
studio, Waldorf, right? They're having this is something different. Saturday, December 23rd from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. They're having a
Okay.
Santa's Workshop candle making experience. I'm not kidding.
What?
Okay. Yep. You'll be creating your very own candle. The ticket price includes the candle vessel of your choice, fragrance, candle coloring, and dried herbs like
Ooh.
rose petal, lavender, chamomile, stuff like that.
Oh, that's fun.
Crystal chips too.
Oh my gosh.
Now, there's certain times where you can make your candle, right? It's
Okay.
11 a.m. to 1 p.m., 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., and 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
So
So
three
people should
chances.
Google this and
Yeah.
get a reservation. Make sure you have your seats ready to go.
Next, on Thursday, December 21st, we have Lights on the Bay at Sandy Point State Park.
You know what? That's a little bit further out
is.
than that's in Annapolis. A little bit
Mhm.
further out than what we normally talk about.
Yeah.
But I mean, where else can you go to
I
see something
know.
like that?
On the Chesapeake Bay, too. It's their 29th annual one, which the fact that they've been doing it that long tells you how wonderful
Oh,
it
yeah,
is,
yeah.
to be around for that long. You have 70 animated and stationary displays illuminating the roadway.
70.
Yes.
Holy mackerel.
Isn't that crazy?
That is, and you know, Annapolis, for people who don't regularly go to Annapolis, I go once or twice a week.
Oh, it's no big
I mean,
deal.
it
None.
couldn't be easier.
Mm-mm.
4 to 2, and you're in Annapolis. So go see some lighted displays. You'll have a great time. Now, here's one you I bet you haven't heard about. December 27th in La Plata, there is something called Paint Your Pet. Now, you're not actually painting. I could just see Paul running around with like paint all over him. At the La Plata Green Turtle, great place,
Oh,
right?
yeah, it is. It is. Yes.
Artist Katie Dietrich is guiding people through the creative process. What
Okay.
happens is you have to do this.
Hmm.
You send a color photo headshot of your pet, and you
Okay.
send that to Katie's email address, which is 247paint@gmail.com. You can only send one per ticket. And what she does is she pre-draws it on 11 by 14 canvas. Then when you get to the Green Turtle, you get art materials
Oh
and
my gosh.
instruction. It starts at 6 o'clock. And before that, if not included in the ticket price, but you can get food, appetizers,
Yeah.
drinks.
Gotta go.
I have lots of pets. I'm gonna get lots of tickets and paint them all.
Just cover an entire wall in your.
Yeah. So I can't put my finger on it, but there's something different about your pets. Yeah, because one's blue, one's yellow, one's purple. No, okay.
Finally, on my side of things, there is the Baynet Holiday Cheer Photo Contest. And I feel like
Ooh.
this is a good reminder to take that time with your loved ones this holiday season
Yeah.
and have those special moments
Yeah.
when you're decorating your Christmas tree.
When you're painting your pet.
Exactly. Some people make Christmas ornaments every year. We do gingerbread house decorating every year as a family.
Oh, yeah.
So we do.
That's cool.
Yes, it's wonderful. My sister makes homemade gingerbread every year. It tastes amazing. It looks
homemade.
amazing.
It's not even the prefab kit you get at the
No.
supermarket.
She goes hard. Yeah.
Wow, that's some fancy stuff.
So all that to say, snap a photo of that special moment, share it with the Baynet,
Mhm.
and if you win the contest,
Which you might.
and you win that by people voting, so whoever gets the most votes,
Oh, okay.
then they'll get a shout out on the Baynet social media page.
And that's priceless.
And
And what?
a $25 Visa gift card.
Get out.
Yeah, so
I'd be happy just with the social
I know.
mentions. But then
I
again, I'm
know.
a social butterfly. But what are you going to do?
So really, give that some thought. I think it'd be a great way to remind each other as a community
Mhm.
what the holidays are about. And that's
But leave it
about
to the Baynet, too, to include the whole community
yes.
in a fun activity.
Yeah.
That's very clever. Very good. Thank
It
you,
is.
Baynet.
Yeah,
Way to
thank
go.
you.
I've got one more.
Okay.
Saturday, December 23rd. Ooh, getting ready for Christmas,
Okay.
right? Anne Marie Gardens, a sculpture garden and art center. Now, this is
We talked about them last week.
Yeah, they're in Dell,
Yes.
which is the town
Mhm.
adjoining Solomon's, right?
Yeah.
This is a two-part thing. They've got Christmas photos and petting zoo. Now,
Ooh.
in order to do that, well, first of all, cost for photos and petting is $20 a family,
Okay.
up to 5 people. If you have extra people,
Yeah.
then it's $5 each. First come, first serve activity. Now, in order to do that, though, you have to buy tickets for the light show. They transform the whole place
Oh, I've
into
seen
a twinkling wonderland.
I've seen pictures, and they are awe-inspiring.
You know what
just
they've got?
gorgeous.
Guests will explore ocean depths,
Mhm.
travel to outer space. I'm in for that one. Flit among flit. I'm gonna flit. Oh, you gotta go, Lindsay. You gotta go flit now. All right. Flit among the butterflies, frolic in the snow, and enjoy a tea party in Wonderland. How cool is
Ooh.
that? So you got to get advance tickets for that. Obviously, coming up next, we promised, we deliver a mystery guest. Any guesses, Lindsay?
I mean, we already know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Not much of a contest. We already know, but you folks out there, you should be guessing. You won't be disappointed.
And grab your kids.
Yep.
Because
Oh.
the first half of the interview
Right.
is going to be for everybody to enjoy, and the second half will be just for parents.
That's right. Kind of push the kids out of the room. We've got some interesting stuff coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. Welcome back.
And we're back. Lindsay?
Tell them.
But first, what do you call a cat at the beach?
I don't know. A meow maid? Or...
Nope.
No.
Sandy Claus? And with that, may we introduce our special guest for this episode?
Santa Claus!
Ho, 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 and welcome.
Santa, thank you so much for, obviously, this is your busy season. We know that you're
Mhm.
working nonstop.
It is busy.
You getting
That's
any
true.
sleep at all?
Some.
You got some helpers, right?
Occasionally, yes.
Cool.
Okay. First question I got out of the gate, because my 6-year-old was like, you have to ask Santa Claus this. Where is Mrs. Claus? What is she up to these days?
Well, Mrs. Claus is very patient
Mhm.
most of the time with the elves, and she has to keep them kind of in line, but she's usually home baking cookies.
Ooh.
And it's nice to walk into into a house that
Mm.
somebody's baking fresh cookies.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
just
Mhm.
really wonderful. And if they're warm and you've got a cold glass of milk to go with them, that's just the cat's meow.
Do kids
Yeah.
still do that? Do they leave out a plate of cookies and
Absolutely. You
milk?
get
And
cookies, you get milk, and occasionally you get carrots and celery for the reindeer.
Of course.
The reindeer aren't
Mhm.
real,
I wouldn't
real
have thought of that.
fancy
That's
on
very cool.
celery, but carrots, yeah.
So speaking of, because every year we actually bake cookies for when you come.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite type of cookie, and what's your favorite type of milk?
Okay. Well, contrary to popular belief about chocolate chips, I'm not a big fan of chocolate.
Oh,
It's okay, but
okay.
I like oatmeal cranberry cookies.
Mm.
And because the
mhm.
oatmeal is there, the reindeer kind of try to steal them too.
Hmm.
So I have to be really careful where I take those. But occasionally, just to keep others happy, I will put a white chocolate chip in my
Ooh.
cookie. So
Oh, I
you
do
get
love white
a
chocolate.
white chocolate chip,
Oh.
and I add a little ginger just to kind of kick it up a notch.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's what we'll make for you this year.
Here.
Okay.
They'll be
That's
waiting for you by
Santa's
the
own
fireplace.
special recipe. So I guess you're working night and day right now,
And
making
day.
toys
It
to
is a
distribute.
non-stop. Yes.
I have no idea how you do it. That's a lot of houses, a lot of kids, but
It is.
come Christmas Day, all the kids are happy. They got what they wanted. and
Yeah.
It's
Thanks to
called
you.
Santa's magic. It's
Yeah.
getting around and doing that all within a period of time that most people wouldn't understand.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Now, when it's not the holiday season, what are you doing with yourself?
It turns out that I am a wood carver as well as a toy maker,
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
and I also like to tinker with old cars.
Oh,
So
Ooh.
I dabble in those kind of things, kind of get my fingers greasy, and
Mhm.
I like doing things with my hands. It keeps me occupied.
it's hard to imagine you getting greasy though, because you're wearing
I
so much
know.
white. And
Well, this is how you dress when you go out and zip around the country, but when you're at home, it's put on a pair of coveralls and get your cat in the picture, and
Mhm.
life is good.
Well,
Even cats
This-
love Santa Claus.
yeah, you know
This
what?
is-
I think my cat Django sensed your Santa energy, if I
Santa
could,
energy, yeah, good word.
and he just felt right at home. He has never done this with a guest.
Really?
It's the magic of Santa.
It has to be.
Oh my gosh. Ah, I love this. Okay.
She's been so excited ever since the day she met you and
I
said,
will.
Santa's going to be on the podcast.
I will say the little girl inside of me was squeeing that I was going to get to interview
Mhm.
Santa. And when I told my 6-year-old, because he's at school right now, he said, "You're gonna interview Santa? Oh my goodness!" So
You know, the best thing about that though is it's not the age, it's
it's
the idea, and it's in your heart,
it is.
and it's magical.
Hmm.
It is.
And I believe that wholeheartedly because as long as I've been going to visit people and visit houses, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter how old you are.
That is very true.
I went to the nursing home over in St. Mary's County
Hmm.
and visited, and they brought a Clydesdale, and they had
Aw.
some ladies doing sing-alongs,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and we just had a great time. But I can guarantee you that all those people that they brought out of the building
Hmm.
knew who Santa was, and they
Wow.
all, wanted to get a picture and
That is
say
so
hi and have a cookie and
It's very iconic.
That's
Cool
I mean,
stuff.
beautiful.
What is
Just-
Christmas without Santa?
That's just so
Well, except for the religious aspect, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. But that's just so beautiful, like the universality of you, Santa, that like you said, no matter your age, your background, anything. So Santa,
yes.
what is your favorite part of Christmas?
My favorite part of Christmas is usually when you park the sleigh, unhook the reindeer, and go get in the hot tub.
So there's a hot tub in the North Pole.
Absolutely. That's the best
Ooh.
place to
Cold
have.
up there, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
cold. You go out, the tub's 103, 104 degrees. You jump in. The reindeer think somebody's making soup. They stand around and look at you, but when you get out, you're refreshed and relaxed, and
Are the reindeers well behaved mostly when they're not working?
most of the time. Yep.
Are they
They are.
kind of like cats or like a dog?
Yeah, more like dogs.
Oh,
They're
okay.
not independent.
Oh,
You have to brush their fur and keep their horns clean, and you do realize that the reindeer are all females, right?
what?
I never thought of that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
All of them?
Well, the
What?
ones that have antlers after November
Oh,
because
okay. That
the,
makes sense
the
now.
little
Oh.
boys lose their horns, the little girls
Oh.
don't until later.
And all Santa's
Oh.
reindeers have the
Horns.
horns. Got it.
Uh-oh.
That
Look,
was
she's amazed. Look
We
at the
learned
that was
learn something
Wow.
new. Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to ask if Santa had any messages for all the little boys and girls around Southern Maryland that are watching this with their mom and dad.
Well, Southern Maryland, around the world,
Around the world, too. That's
across
right.
the nation, up
Thanks
your
to the
street.
internet.
That's
Right.
Mhm.
You can be anywhere. And I do seem to get around.
Hmm.
And I will tell you that I do watch. I do pay attention. It's a short season, but it's the gift giving. It's the being happy. It's being with family. And the best part is it doesn't have to be just at Christmas. It can be any time, at any place, with anyone.
Oh, that's very
That's
nice.
right. And I love that. I feel like people tend to get so generous around Christmas time. But what about the other 11 months
Yeah,
out of the
they hold
year?
doors for people as you're like
Mhm.
coming in and out of stores and everything. It's a nice spirit, but I agree. Why can't it
Yeah.
continue year round?
I agree.
Well, Santa, thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't believe that you actually took time out of your schedule right now in December to come visit us here at the podcast.
All right, guys. That wraps up our interview with Santa Claus.
But don't go anywhere.
Because coming up next, we have something special for the parents. So, parents, this is your chance to get the kiddos out of the room so that you can enjoy the second half of this interview.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Okay, parents, we're ready for our second half of the interview where we see the man behind the myth,
Hmm.
the man behind Santa. We have.
But not behind the beard, because that's real.
Yeah, the beard is
Oh,
real. The
right.
beard's real. We have Bob.
Thank you so much for being here, both of you, both Santa,
And Bob.
Santa and Bob. We were wondering, what is the origins of Santa Claus? I don't think I know that. Do you?
I know a little bit, but I feel like you probably know way more than we do.
Well,
So.
I don't know if that's always true or not. I can tell you what I've learned going to Santa academies, and there are
Ooh.
academies for
Oh, that's going to be a
Santa.
question.
Those are some interesting schools. They last 3 or 4 days, and
Wow.
they do history, they do clothing, they do dressing. They go through
Wow.
a whole lot of things. It's interesting, it's engaging, and you get to meet other Santas, and you learn tricks of the trade or things that might work with some kids and not with others.
Yeah.
The Northern Lights Santa Academy, which I've been to twice, is in Atlanta, and Santa Rick Rosenthal runs the academy. He started bringing in special needs kids.
Oh,
So,
I love
and
that.
we get sign language,
Mhm.
some training with
Mhm.
that if you can follow up. And we had the class where they had 8 kids, 8 special needs kids, who were quarantined away from all of us crazy people and their parents.
Yeah.
There were 8 of us who were selected to go in the other room. So they brought in a kid with a Santa, and we got to observe how that Santa interfaced with the
Yeah.
child. So,
Wow.
you
Santa
know,
auditions.
it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
It was a training thing. The one that stuck in my mind was this kid whose mom had got him this communicator where you type in, you know,
Yeah. And then it talks.
and it talks
yeah.
for it. But he wouldn't use it. He didn't like it. It just happened that the Santa that he had been selected for was a sign language instructor at the University of Georgia.
Oh, well, that worked out pretty well.
So
Yeah.
when he walks in,
Mhm.
the little boy, mom was behind him. She had him wheel himself in
Mhm.
Yeah.
and do his own thing. And he got up there. And so the first thing that Santa did was he said hi in sign language.
Mhm.
And from there on, they talked about trains, and they talked about boats, and they talked about a bunch of different things. And he got him using his communicator.
Oh, that's great.
That's
So, of course,
That's the
Mom-
power of Santa.
Yeah. Right.
So mom's off in the corner having a little crying fest.
Yeah.
And we're all in the auditorium watching this on closed circuit TV, which was way cool. After they were all done, all the parents came to the auditorium and we got to ask them questions,
Mhm.
and they got to ask us questions. And it was,
Yeah.
you know, how did you do this? And did we go the wrong way, or was this the wrong approach?
There are established rules and methods of being Santa.
Nothing's established.
Okay.
All depends on you.
You don't have to be licensed to be Santa.
No, but I have to have a background check every year.
Oh,
That's
well, I mean,
good.
that's yeah,
Okay.
I
That
can
makes
see
me
that,
feel
yeah.
really
And,
good.
and
Yeah.
This Santa school, is that
yes,
appropriate? The Santa school is in Atlanta.
well, there are several.
Oh, okay.
The original Santa school
Mhm.
started in New York, where the guy
Okay.
who was the Santa for the Macy's parade put on a school,
Mhm.
Wow.
and it still exists under some other people, and nobody knows who Santa is at the Macy's parade. He's incognito. He's not
All these years
listed.
Wow.
later,
Yeah,
so
he's
nobody
he's
knows.
still, they keep him
Whoa.
confidential so that people
He
aren't
could be the man who lives
knocking
next
on,
door.
you know. Well, I started this thing, and because I was in the Marine Corps for 23 years, and I went to a school run by Tim Conahan.
Mhm.
Tim Conahan was in the Army,
Mhm.
but he's the Santa for Toys for Tots.
Oh.
Santas come from all walks of life, and they do all kinds of things. And I think the best people you see out there are the ones who go to school and learn what to do, how to do it, how to dress, how to address people, how to work with anybody and everybody.
Do you have to go back every certain number of years? As a real estate agent, I have to do my continuing education every 2 years to renew my license. So is there something like that for Santas?
Not required,
Hmm.
but I will tell you that if you go to some of the academies, that if you go back several times, you become an alumni, and they put you to
Oh.
work and let you speak and
Oh.
let you
Okay.
teach. I
That's
mean,
great.
You mentioned that when you go to Santa school, you learn about the history of
oh,
Santa.
sure.
Is that because kids will ask you and they want you to be prepared with real life answers for the children? Or?
Yes. Back in the good old days, in 279 AD, when the young man was born,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and his parents passed away, he had lots of money. He didn't know what to do with it, but he was very generous, just like his parents. The one story that always sticks in people's minds is a man had 3 daughters, but he had no dowry, and you can't get married without a dowry back yonder.
Yeah.
We wanted to help him out. So he went and put coins in their shoes or stocking to help him do this. And that's the starting of the gift giving, which,
Mm.
of course, moved on through the centuries. And then the Pope banned St. Nicholas
What?
from being a saint
Wow.
in, I believe, it was 1979.
Oh my goodness.
But these guys can do all this banning, but it doesn't stop the fact that
No.
Santa is still
Wow.
here and
Yeah.
Kris
Right.
Kringle is still here.
Yeah.
And it has come back to where it hasn't stopped any of the celebrations. It hasn't
Okay.
stopped having, Christ and Christmas, and it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't done anything that was bad or.
Yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
how the two things would conflict with each other. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
just,
don't think so. With our kids, we teach them both. We
Right,
teach them
exactly.
about Christ. We teach them about Santa. They can coexist.
Right.
Absolutely.
279 AD. What country was that? Did that start?
Turkey.
Really?
So I have a weird fun fact that I actually learned this last Sunday about St. Nicholas.
Okay.
So apparently he was present at the Council of Nicaea, which is a really big deal in the Christian faith, where they debated whether or not God was 3 separate people, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, or if he was one God with a triune nature. And apparently St. Nicholas was very adamant that God was a triune God. And when someone contradicted that, he slapped them. And
Yes.
there is actual art depicting this.
Yeah.
So apparently Saint Nick was spicy, and he stood up for truth.
That's crazy. I saw Mama slapping Santa Claus. No, I guess that doesn't work. Oh, it'd be the other way around.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Before you donned the suit, what did you do?
For 23 years, I was in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
So transitioning to another job with a suit was not a really big thing
Mhm.
because I already knew how to
Just your
dress.
current
Yeah.
uniform.
I
Right.
understand how
Right.
things are clean and shiny and straight. The Marine Corps does a good job of instilling those things in your life. And my mom was a volunteer.
Hmm.
She was a candy striper in a hospital, did
Aw.
all these fun things. So I kind of fell into that routine. I was a volunteer fireman in Spotsylvania County
Hmm.
when I was stationed in Quantico. And then from there, I went to Yuma, Arizona. I did about 5 years with the Yuma Police Department.
Okay.
Think
How
of-
many people can say they went from Police Academy to Santa Academy? That's the
Well,
first
yeah,
I've ever
that's
heard.
that's a
so-
little different. Yeah. Then I got stationed in San Diego, and then I put in my papers and said, "Thanks, see you later." So I went back to sunny Maryland, where I got a position as a logistics person for the V-22 program,
Mhm.
Okay.
which was coming along at the time, 1994. And I did logistics for 9 years as a lying, stealing, thieving, cheating contractor. No, just kidding. For a company. And then somebody said, "Hey, you want to do this for the government?" So I started working for the government, basically the same job. That was the fun part, was when I worked for John Core, the contractor,
Mhm.
the owner saw me one day and she said, "Hey, you got a beard. You want to be Santa?"
So that's how it
And
started.
I thought she was just pulling my leg. We went around to every one of the employees and gave them their checks and their Christmas bonus.
Aw.
So I did that a couple of times. And one of the guys that I worked with, his aunt was having her 50th anniversary. And I said, okay. It was a custom suit from Walmart that smelled like somebody had smoked in it.
Oh,
But not a big deal, you know.
Maybe that's the flames from the chimney. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
So I go up to Accokeek, Maryland,
Yeah.
and I get on a fire truck
Mhm.
and I ride up to the building, and here's all these little kids with their faces pressed against the glass doors because this is a fire truck and Santa's getting off of it,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, we probably drove 10 feet. Well, that was a whole lot of fun. And then I came back in and I had dinner with them and got all the silly questions like, "Where's your reindeer?" And
Yeah.
that was kind of the start of something. I went to an international Santa convention in Denver, Colorado. There were 450 Santas
Okay.
and 50 Mrs. Clauses
Okay.
going to school there. Yes,
What do they
Oh, I
teach
love that.
Mrs. Claus?
similar things.
Okay.
Very much. I
Oh, as
mean,
far as interacting with kids.
it's kid things. It's clothing. It's fun to watch. There's one Mrs. Claus that is a ventriloquist,
Mhm.
and
What?
she walks around with her little snowman, and she talks to kids. And sometimes, I mean, not everybody requests a Santa and a Mrs. Claus. Sometimes they just want Santa.
I wouldn't have even known to ask.
But
Oh, see,
if
we actually tell our kids that Santa and Mrs. Claus comes to visit.
yes,
you're fancy.
So,
So-
yeah.
yeah, but Mrs. Claus has a job, and there are some Mrs. Clauses who
Mhm.
just work on their own.
That's great.
They go to schools, they go to daycares, they go to different places and interact with kids that way and try to calm them down and not be too scared of her husband.
I have no idea.
What is the most touching or heartwarming experience you've ever had with a kid?
That is a trick question because it can take many forms.
Okay.
And I only say that because in the last 5 years, I've had to deal with 3 kids with cancer.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I went to be with them when I did was because they weren't going to make it to Christmas.
Wow.
And those are just really loving, super kids.
Yeah.
But I also had a kid, and I say that because I'm old. The kid was in his 50s,
Mhm.
and he had brain cancer. I just
Wow.
don't know why that's so prevalent. But that was his thing. He wanted to have Christmas with his 2 sons before he passed away.
Oh my gosh.
And so I went with another fire department. They
Mhm.
Yeah.
loaded me in a truck. They took me over to this community, and everybody in the community had turned out. The realtor that sold the houses in this subdivision paid for to have their house decorated with
Wow.
light. She had a photographer there, and then she had all these families, and out of all the bunch, only 2 families didn't show up. It was nice to see that everybody in the community came together to
Yeah.
help this
Yeah.
guy celebrate. So when I showed up in the fire truck, the aunts, the uncles, and the grandparents are up on the porch, and he's out on the front lawn with his kids. I was in awe of Mechanicsville. The fire department had
Mhm.
done all this stuff.
Yeah.
and it was touch, heartwarming, and it's just there's some things that you just do them because they need to be done.
It's the
I
right thing.
I came
Yeah.
back from Florida early this year
Hmm.
for same thing.
Mhm.
Kid on base had brain cancer, and they had put something on the military network for Pax River,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and the lady who has me come over and do her appreciation for all of her clients, she sells real estate.
Hmm.
And she said, I'm looking for a Santa to go see this young man.
Yeah.
I said, okay, sign me up. So I came back early
Yeah.
we took 2 fire trucks over to his house, but it was for a good thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
You are truly a nice guy.
you
Now,
Wow.
now that's sad and
Yeah,
touching.
yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah, yeah.
flip the
Okay.
coin. Have you ever had any bizarre or funny or weird experiences with kids that you can share with the viewers?
funny, bizarre, weird. And people ask you that all the time. What's the funniest thing that a kid has ever asked you? And I don't know that any of them are really off the wall or off the chart, because when they say, I want my grandma back, you can't do much about that,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah.
But then the one that comes up and says, I want a monster truck.
Mhm.
And you're like, can you reach the pedals?
Mhm.
Or, but some of those things. And I think their parents put them up to that. So
Yeah.
I have to say, well, maybe.
So I gotta know, have you ever been thrown up on by a kid? Or
That was me when I was little. Sorry. Like different Santa.
or I don't know, just
I can
something
tell
weird like
you
that.
that in the entire time, and it's probably been almost 20 years,
Hmm.
in the entire time of in sitting with kids, I have never had any of those things occur.
Oh,
That's great.
can
It's
most
That's awesome.
Santas say that? Or I mean, Lindsay and I
Right.
we were talking about it earlier, and I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of common. You'd be
Yeah.
well,
used to it.
I had the one time that I came really close. Lady comes in and she takes her kid out of the stroller and she picks him up, and there's water running out of his butt, and I'm thinking, uh-oh. I said, you might want to change him before you do this. But very rarely. So I've avoided a lot of that craziness that I've heard rumors about
Hmm.
for some time. I even know Santas that carry extra towels around and put on their knees for that very
Be
reason.
prepared.
Yes, yes.
Before you don the suit to go to an event or what have you, is there anything that you do other than just putting the suit on to get ready to
Well,
be like Santa?
for me to come out in public
Hmm.
Mhm.
as this guy, it requires shaving. It requires makeup.
Hmm.
I had to go see a Mary Kay lady. Oh my gosh. And I said, I don't want my face to glow in the dark. So that's a little bit of powder and a little bit of rouge, because you want to look like you've been windblown riding a
Yep.
sleigh,
Yeah. Is
and
this more for the photography
it's
aspect?
for,
And
well, I consider it for all of that, because if I just look like a pale face going
Yeah.
out there, I'm like, probably not the same.
Yeah.
And then this that you noticed,
Mhm.
it's called Krylon glitter.
Mhm.
Okay.
I found at an academy with Tim Conahan, I believe it was, in Tampa.
Mhm.
I went to the academy, and he had this stuff on his face, and he didn't mention that to anybody.
Yeah.
But when he walked up front and they turned the spotlight on, and you turn and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
what happened to your face, buddy?
Yeah.
But
But you walked in here, and that's the first thing Lindsay noticed, right? Your
Well,
sparkly beard.
yeah, so when we took my kids to the Kris Kringle market and we took them up to you to meet you, I was like, oh my gosh, he's truly magical. His beard sparkles. Like, it was that, like, extra level of detail that just takes you from, like, a good Santa to, like, a really great Santa.
Yeah.
and that's the thing that, and I took that away from my class,
Hmm.
was that was something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Not too many people do it,
Yeah.
but it goes on fairly quickly, and it comes off in a wash. It's and the other thing I use is got to be glued
Hmm.
hairspray,
Mm.
because it keeps the shape. And
Okay.
again, it washes out.
Yeah.
And
True.
so I look pretty ugly without this stuff
Oh, I
on,
don't
you know.
believe
You know,
that, but
it's like, oh,
but I'll say for my money, this is Santa. You couldn't be any
Yeah.
more Santa.
but you talk about comical. You know how kids pay attention?
Mm-hmm.
At Kris Kringle Market, my wife came up, she sat on my lap, and before she left, she leaned over and she gave me a kiss. Well, as she's starting to walk out, this little girl said, "How come you kissed Santa?" And she had to go, "Well, I'm actually Mrs. Claus, but you can't tell
Wow.
so I just laughed because I could hear her
Yeah.
explaining to this little girl. I said, "You got to watch out. Kids pay attention.
They do.
So if you go see a Santa that has cotton stuck on their face,
Hmm.
your
Mhm.
kid's going to notice.
Yes, they
They
will.
pay attention. Whether that they come up and sit in your lap or stand next to you or groups. I mean, the entire time I've been doing Kris Kringle, which has been 10 years, I have ladies that come in and they go, "I got to get my picture."
Hmm.
Because they work in the market. They're vendors.
Yeah.
And they come down to see me before I go get on the fire truck, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Got to get my Santa picture in. I need my Santa picture."
You know what makes me so happy
Hmm.
is that no matter how strange and weird the world becomes or
Yeah.
technological the world becomes, there's still Santa.
Yep, that's very
That makes me
true.
so happy.
Yeah,
It's like,
Santa never goes out of style.
nope,
Which
That's
is
right.
simple.
hopefully it never will.
I hope so. Well, thanks so much for joining us here today, Bob. My inner child this entire time has just been so excited about this whole experience.
That's all she's been talking about.
Yeah, and you've been so gracious with us, peeling back the behind the scenes of what it's like to
Oh,
be Santa.
I never heard any of this
Right.
stuff before. So
So truly, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for joining
you.
us.
My
here.
pleasure. I
we will
like it.
be right back.
Stay tuned.
You know what, Lindsay?
What?
I feel very honored and privileged that we get to come into people's homes this
Mhm.
holiday season.
Me
And,
too.
you know, it's like from the arts fam to your fam, we wish you happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Merry
Have a good
Christmas,
time, and
everyone.
we'll be here when you get back. Bye, everybody.
Bye.